All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late morning on this Thursday, and we've got another video here that I know is only going to be interesting to a pretty small subset of my viewers. I know that this is something that I do almost every week, and not a lot of people are into it like that, but I like to provide it for the people who maybe are. And I think that this kind of stuff is still valuable to us as we maneuver through this college football season, trying to find the best prospects. So this is the college football watch schedule, just basically offering up a reasonable and logical watch schedule for college football this week if your only priority is to watch the best prospects. So you have to be a certain kind of person to be into this, I understand, but it's something I like to do every week anyway. And this week it's not great. I don't think this week is very good as far as the college football lineup goes. There are a couple of good games, but there isn't a nice spread like we're used to. What I mean by that, in part, is we only have one pre-Saturday game that caught my attention at all, and it's Iowa versus Rutgers. That's pretty good. That's not bad anyway. Iowa going to Rutgers, like they could definitely be pushed. That's a Friday game, 5 o'clock p.m. Fox. So should be an easy game to find on your TV, I guess. What am I saying? Nobody has TV anymore except for me. But Iowa, they've got a lot of good players, a lot of intriguing players. They've got multiple guys on that offensive line. That entire right side of the offensive line is compelling. Graves on the defensive line. Xavier Nwankpa. I remember watching him a little bit last year. We've got an edge rusher, Lewin. They have some stuff that is worth paying attention to. But that's really the only pre-Saturday game that caught my attention at all. Please like this video, subscribe, click the bell, become a channel member. Those are the best ways to support the channel. Check out my video on Bleacher Report that went live this morning. And also remember, in less than an hour, I'm going to be streaming with the Hawks Nest. Tune in. So we'll be talking about this Saints game, a little bit about the Steelers game, all the other Seahawks stuff. All right. So Saturday. There is good stuff on Saturday, don't get me wrong. So let's get to it. 9 a.m., we've got Syracuse playing Clemson. And look, Clemson is loaded with talent, but we also need to just keep watching them just to figure out if they're ever going to wake up, because this has been a pathetic start to the season. And a lot of these guys are losing their luster. Klubnik, Williams, the linemen they have a bunch of good linemen. They have Avion Terrell, who I thought played well last week and is a really good prospect, but can this team wake up? Can this team actually put together a good game? Has not happened yet. But even without that factor, I would still say Clemson's worth paying attention to because these players are intriguing. Like, even if Klubnik is no longer a top 5 pick, he's still a first rounder for the time being, and he can bounce back. So I'm still paying attention to what Clemson is doing. Again, it's not like I want Clemson to win or anything like that. I just want their prospects to be compelling. But them winning would help. And the other 9 a.m. game is Texas Tech versus Utah, which should be a good game. Both these teams are pretty good. And both teams also bring some good prospects to the table. Texas Tech has David Bailey, one of the better edge rushers in this class. They got a center and a wide receiver that I think could be good day 3 picks, Wilson and Douglas. And Utah, of course, has the two monsters on the edge on their offensive line, Fano and Lomu. And then you've got Barton at linebacker, and you've got the safety they have as well. So that game's going to be on Fox. Let's pause for a minute so I can tell you a bit about Sleeper. Before I go any further, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Sleeper. If you're not using the Sleeper app for daily fantasy football this year, you are missing out on some great opportunities. Take a look on the left side of your screen right now. Look at all these great things you can do over there at any time you want to. Make all kinds of over-under picks. Let's take a look at my entry for this week. I got Bijan and Saquon scoring anytime touchdowns. I think both those guys are going to get in the end zone and help lead their team to big victories. I got Pat Mahomes going over 29.5 rushing yards. He's going to need to run the ball a lot because of the way that Chiefs offense is right now. And I got JSN going over 68.5 receiving yards. Got to keep going the over on JSN until he gives us a reason not to. You get on over to Sleeper, use my promo code SBN. You can get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. opening up operations in Washington State in October, currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Welcome back, and yeah, that's really about it for the early slate. And by the way, the first game was ESPN, and the second game is on Fox. Should be pretty easy. Then we've got the early afternoon. There's one really interesting game in my book, which is the Auburn versus Oklahoma game. But there's also the Oregon State versus Oregon game, which shouldn't be a very good game. Like, that's a clear one-sided affair, but Oregon will remain compelling for prospect reasons. Although I don't know what's going on with Mekhi Hughes. He basically doesn't play. I know he's not injured to the point where he can't play, because he does occasionally get the ball, but something funky's going on there. But they've got other players that are worth watching as well. So 12 p.m. Oregon State versus Oregon on the Big Ten Network. At least worth paying attention to for the Oregon side of things, I guess. But 12:30 Auburn versus Oklahoma, that's a good game. You've got Auburn with Falk, the defensive lineman, the edge rusher, although he's a little bit of a bigger edge rusher. I know some Seahawks fans are hot to trot on him. Chaplin, their left tackle. Connor Lew is a really, really fun center. Eric Singleton Jr., the wide receiver, is also going to be a top guy, I think. And then Oklahoma, man. Mateer, the quarterback. It's looking like a little bit of a bumpy quarterback room so far for 2026, like bumpier than expected. So Mateer might have to carry a little bit here, and he's starting to edge up into that first round convo. They've also got Thomas, the edge rusher, Halton, defensive lineman. They've got Trey Burke, or not Trey Burks. I don't know why I said Trey Burks. God, what's his name? Well, Burks, the receiver, Jay Knott, the running back. So that game's on ABC. That should be very good. I definitely recommend checking that out. And then we get to the late afternoon. Florida takes on Miami. Now, Florida is probably not very good this year. They still have a lot of interesting players. They've got Banks. They've got Austin Barber at left tackle, Jake Slaughter at center, Tyreek Sapp at edge. Like, there is good stuff going on that team, even if they're not going to be great this year. Even they got a day 3 receiver right now, Wilson III, that I think will be worth monitoring. Miami, we all know about Miami. They've got the edge rusher brothers, Bain and Mesidor. Those guys alone command your attention. Maui Goa at tackle. Carson Beck on the rise again after basically being left for... Basically, we kind of forgot about him as a pro prospect. And then Daniels at wide receiver. That game's on ABC at 4:30. That should be pretty interesting. I don't think Florida's a pushover, so Miami will at least get pressed a bit. 4:30 also, same start time. Illinois takes on Indiana. This could be a pretty decent game. Both teams have a few guys that I like. Gabe Jacas, especially for Illinois, I think is very compelling. Luke Altmaier might be my favorite late round guy right now at quarterback. They got Scott, the safety, as well. Indiana has Mendoza. Still definitely paying attention to him. He may end up being QB1 when this is over, as crazy as that sounds, if some of these other guys keep fading. Elijah Surratt at wide receiver. Kamara and Pons on the defense. That's an NBC Peacock game. That should be good. It's a relatively even match as well, in theory. And then the one late game I found, it's not much, but it's something. Michigan State takes on USC. Michigan State has two guys, the tight end Velling and then Childs, the quarterback. Both could be day 3 guys. USC has the 2 receivers that I really like, Ramsey at safety and Lucas at edge. So that game's going to be on Fox, so that should be pretty easy to get. By the way, the Illinois-Indiana game is on NBC and Peacock, so again, pretty simple to find, I imagine. Again, I keep talking like people still have cable. I'm the only person who still has cable in the world, I think. So that may not apply to most people. But regardless, that is my recommended slate for this week. If you just want to watch prospects, these are the players that stand out to me. These are the teams that stand out to me this week. Again, it's not stellar. Like, we don't have Alabama this week. Alabama, even though Alabama's not a great team this year, they always bring it in terms of intriguing pro prospects. So not having them is a blow, but it's still a pretty decent slate. I, of course, will not be able to watch either of the really nice 4:30 p.m. games because we got the Apple Cup this week, but more on that later. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. That is my recommended watch schedule for college football this week.